Do you want to be a loan officer who earns six figures a year? Then you're watching the right video. My name is Zevi. I'm an owner of a company called Loanbrook Inc. It's a wholesale mortgage shop in Woodland Hills, California. And I've talked to so many people who are new in this business, and they all have the same goal, which is to make money, right? But there is a way to do it. And if you want to hit six figures in lending, especially in your first year or two, then you got to be really focused. And in this video, I want to go through a few steps that if you don't do them, you're going to have a very tough time hitting that benchmark. And the reason I say that is because I've watched so many people do the exact same things and they all wonder why it doesn't work. So with that, let's get started. Let's dive in. Let's talk about how you can make six figures in lending in the first few years. Number one, no matter how good you are in anything, if no one knows you exist, there's a very good chance that they're not going to use your services. On the contrary, if you're okay at anything, but everyone knows about you, there's a very good chance that you're still going to get a lot of business. And that's the first takeaway, meaning that a lot of people that get into lending, their focus is mostly around their fears, which is, I don't really know how to do this. And if somebody asks me a question, I don't want to sound foolish. So I'm going to find out all the answers to everything before I start having conversations with potential borrowers and with potential referral partners like real estate agents or attorneys or CPAs or builders, because that's really the source of where you're going to be getting your business from. Now, mind you, the guidelines to all these programs are basically posted online. They're national guidelines if you're doing conventional lending, meaning using people's tax returns. So if you ever don't know the answer to something, don't worry. You can actually Google the answer and find out. But I feel like the trap that a lot of people fall into is that they don't prioritize marketing over the knowledge piece, because you see, the knowledge piece will be there in time. There's no way that I can get you to remember something unless you have just a magnificent memory, considering all the pieces that go into making this lending puzzle. But once you start transacting, for some crazy reason, your mind realizes where the pitfalls are, and your ability to retain that information is like 10 times more than if I just try to explain it to you. My point is, the way that you are going to retain this information, that you are going to become a better lender, that you're going to step up your skills, is by doing. And the only way of doing is to do the most important thing, which is market yourself 24/7. So what I want to talk about is what is the best way to market yourself as a lender so you can capture enough business to make six figures a year. So let's talk about that for a minute. What does it actually take to make six figures a year? About $8,000 a month, plus minus. And so if we can substantiate that, that means that you would have to do one loan, plus minus, that's about $500,000 a month, to earn that type of a commission at a rate of about 1.5% plus minus. Or you're going to have to do two loans that are approximately, let's just say, $300,000 a piece. I guess a lot of it depends on where you are in the country. I'm in Los Angeles, so to do one loan that's $500,000 shouldn't be that difficult, considering, most homes are $1 million plus. So that's a benchmark that we got to put into perspective. Now, if I know I have to do 1 to 2 loans a month, I got to ask myself the question, where are these loans going to be coming from? Well, more than likely, sending emails is not going to do it. Calling people, if you call enough people, you might get some leads, but the best way to do it is actually get in front of these people and have meaningful conversations with them. Typically speaking, if you're starting in the business, you're not going to have a massive budget to try to get into like Facebook ads and things that are going to cost you a ton of money. So you're going to have more time than somebody who, already has an established book of business, and likely more energy to go out there and try to build some connections. The best leads are going to come from not the internet, not social media, not an email campaign. They're going to come from people who are going to refer you the business. And I can tell you that 9 out of 10 times, those people are real estate agents, because they're out there, especially in today's market where there's very limited amount of refinances, because most people already locked up a very low interest rate. So if you don't have a lot of refis, most of the business that you're going to be going after are purchases. And who's controlling that business? Real estate agents. So you know that 90% of your time has to be spent soliciting real estate agents, which is my next point. How do we go about doing that? What would be the best way to go about doing that? What I found out is that the real estate agents that actually send me business are people that I've been doing business with for a long time. And what does that mean? It means that we've built a rapport. There's some type of a business relationship there, a friendship even. And that takes time, of course, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen with 100 different real estate agents. It's probably going to happen with a handful of real estate agents if you spend enough time developing that, which means that instead of going like really wide, you have to go really deep. If you're one of those people who is like me, I don't think that I'm much of an extrovert. I'm not a person who goes out there and tries to meet the whole world. And so that's okay. You don't have to be. I never understood, why do I have to meet these people for a drink? Why do I have to meet them for lunch? I mean, why can't we just, I do loans. I'm really good at it. Just send me your business. Because what happens is you have to develop the business relationship. And the way to do that is most people don't want to talk about business, but they will. If they like you, they'll send you the business. And what you want to go after are a handful of people that are producing agents, not just any agent, producing agents. And now you might ask yourself, okay, how do I know if somebody's a producing agent? You can actually look up their production on sites like realtor.com. Also, when you look up different houses, you see different zip codes in different territories, and then people's faces starts popping up. Well, that means that they're paying for those territories. They're taking their business very seriously. Those are the type of people that you should be drawing in to try to help you build your business. Another mistake is a new loan officer gets a deal. They're so excited. They want to do such a great job for the borrower, and they basically spend 90% of their time on that particular deal to make sure that it gets to the finish line and that they earn a commission. That's a very big mistake. Because like I said, 90% of your time should be spent prospecting. So you might wonder, okay, so I have this deal. How do I do a really great job? You pick up a really good processor. And if you're not working with an in-house processor, then there's plenty of third-party processors who are rock stars because they work with so many different shops and they do a really good job putting a file together. Especially if you're not seasoned, you're kind of new in the business, they will guide your clients A through Z to the point where your clients will think you're a rock star simply by bringing this individual into the picture. Your whole purpose is to try to bring in as much business as possible. It starts with inviting somebody to a meeting, a face-to-face. Now you might say, Zevi, that's really difficult to do. I never said it was easy. So, you should not expect it to be easy. I think if you take 3 steps back and you say to yourself, okay, I am going to be a loan officer. This is my full-time job. Then I think we got to address the elephant in the room is that it's not going to be easy. So we already know that. Okay, got it. The job is going to be difficult. Great. What part of the job is going to be difficult? I think the most difficult part is getting the business. But once you're able to capture the business, then your income potential is limitless. And that's basically the purpose of this video. Without putting a lot of fluff into it, if you spend the majority of your time marketing in layers, which is another thing that I want to talk about, because once you meet this person face to face, you have to stay in front of them, meaning that they have to be added to your email campaign, which should be going out every 2 weeks at least. All right. So that means that you've met somebody, you follow up with them on the phone now weekly to see what they have going on. And if you think they're sending you business because you just had a really good conversation, you're wrong. They're not sending you anything, because these people forget about you really quickly unless you stay in front of them and ask them, what do you have going on? Somebody else will be calling them and they'll capture the business. They're real estate agents. They're working with buyers. Lenders in today's environment, they are looking to build new relationships if they're looking to grow their book of business. You could be that person. In addition to that, you can also become micro-focused on different niches, such as you can walk into all the fire departments and say that you are the expert in giving loans to firefighters. And you know what the beautiful part about that is? They work for a paycheck, which means that they're wage earners. It's a very simple loan to do versus having to deal with somebody who's self-employed, who's got multiple business, and maybe a large schedule of real estate. Typically, that's not going to be that individual. Maybe it is, but for the most part, if you're dealing with police officers, nurses, firefighters, these are wonderful opportunities simply because all these people work for a paycheck. And the loan process should be so simple. You should be able to get to the finish line easily within 30 days and get paid. And all you have to do is basically just bringing them in the door with a standardized file, meaning you took an application, hand it over to your processor, and for the most part, they could take it to the finish line, all right? So these are the most basic opportunities that you have and that you can capture in any market, because mind you, like I said when we started this video, if you substantiate how much you actually have to make or how many deals you actually have to put together to make the 6 figures, the $8,000 a month. So 1 to 2 deals will get the job done. That means that that should be your full-time focus. Now, if you wanted to shift gears and you're at the beginning stages of your career and you're thinking, is there another way to do this, right? That's always how we think. Well, there is one more path, and that path is for commercial lending. Now, it's basically very similar to residential lending, and in some cases, depending on how complicated the file is, it could be easier. And the reason I bring that up is simply because to be able to compete with the income that you could be making as a commercial lender, more than likely you would have to team up with real estate agents who sell very high-end homes to make those type of commissions. And that's sometimes a little difficult to get into, especially depending on where you are in the country versus anywhere you are in the country. I would guess that commercial real estate is always going to be bigger, more expensive. There's other opportunities available there. Remember, we talked about the refi market not being there for the residentials. Well, for the commercials, because the loans are only good typically for 3, 5, and 7 years, you have those opportunities as well. And you wouldn't be dealing with just a really fancy crowd like you will having to deal with a real estate agent on a really high-end property. You're just dealing on larger pieces of real estate that cost more. Therefore, the loans are greater. And so you might ask yourself, okay, that sounds great. I guess I can make larger commissions on this side, but who would teach me that skill set? I personally, over 10 years ago, was in a position where I actually had to learn commercial lending, and I became quite good at it. I took 10 years worth of my knowledge and I packaged it into something that I call the Part-Time Commercial Lender Academy, and it's available for you in the description below. There's a link. If you're interested, you could click on it. You can join the academy and you can learn everything from A to Z about becoming a commercial lender, and you could take that career path. And for that, by the way, you only need a real estate license. You don't need an NMLS license for that, unlike residential lending. And anything to do with licensing, you can always check with the Department of Real Estate in your area. All right. So hopefully that gives you the information that you need. Hopefully it helps you put into perspective at least how you could have a six-figure career, whether you become a residential or a commercial lender. If you have any questions about any of this, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, if you like this video in general, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to my channel. With that, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this, and I'll catch you again on the next video. Take care.